Hello all, welcome to another quick learning. Today we're going back to CodeSignal to work on the database SQL coding exercises. If you're joining this in the middle of a playlist and you want to start from the first video, you can look at the description below for the link. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to the arcade, I'm going to databases. So we were still on this section down here, selecting what to select. And specifically, we were on 64 tracking system. So your web application tracks the activities of its users using a tracking system. While a user hasn't logged in or signed up, all the user's actions are tracked using anonymous ID, and the user ID is null. And afterwards, they are tracked using the same anonymous ID and user ID. It is known that after a user logs in or signs up, the user ID is no longer null. You're given the table tracks, which contains the following columns. So the received date, an event name, the anonymous ID, and the user ID. Your task is to find two events for each anonymous ID, which will be the column anom ID in the return table. Find the last event where the user was tracked only by anonymous ID, and the first event that was tracked by user ID. Resulting tables should be sorted by anom ID. Note, it is not guaranteed that a user ever logs in or signs up. In this case, the column first not null should have the value of null. However, it is guaranteed that for each anonymous ID, there's at least one event where user ID equals null. All right. So we've got a tracks table like this. So you've got the date the event occurs, the event name, their anonymous ID, and then after they log in, it will show a user ID. And what they want is the anon ID, the last null event, and the first not null event. All right. So let's go ahead and go here. So we're going to do distinct anonymous ID. So that's going to give us just the distinct IDs. So what that means is, so for instance here, anonymous ID, you can see there's multiple 3s, there's multiple 2s, multiple 1s. It'll collapse those all down to just one row for 1, one row for 2, one row for 3. And then we're going to do this select statement as well to get you the last anonymous ID where the user ID is null. So that's the last event that they had while they had the anonymous ID but no user ID. So that's just, we select the event name from the tracks table. We gave it the B alias because the outer tracks table is the A alias here. And then we're joining those by the B anonymous ID equals the A anonymous ID, and the user ID is null. So this is the last one because we order it by descending, and we take the first one that shows up for each anonymous ID. So that's the last one where they don't have a user ID. And then to get the one that has the first one that has a user ID, it's very similar, except you'll see that in this case the user ID is not null, and we sort it ascending, so we get the first one. And then we call that first not null from tracks table, and then we just order it by the anonymous ID. And then if we run that, you'll see that that passes the test. All right, so I hope you guys are able to follow along with that, and you join me for future videos. Thank you very much.